So we're working on an 06 Dodge Ram 3500 Bighorn edition. This vehicle came in the shop because it would take off in first gear, it would slip through second and go right to third, and then to fourth. So we're going to show you what's going on with the second gear bands burn up in it. We're going to show you how you can replace the second gear band without having to remove the transmission from the vehicle. Alright, so the first thing you have to do is get the vehicle in there and remove the transmission pan, which we've already done. And you can see the pan, even though the band is burnt, it doesn't look that bad. The next thing you have to do is remove the valve body. That's not a real big deal. I'm going to be putting this valve body back on, so I'll show you how what's involved in removing it and installing it. Then the next thing you have to do is remove the band, the old band. You can see I've got that out. You can see it's kind of burnt. It's gotten hot on the back. And in order to get the old band out, you actually have to cut the end off the band, which I've already done. I just took a Dremel wheel and cut that off right there. And then you install your new band, which is called a slip-in band. And you can see they've modified this strut right here where the strut goes, so you can actually slip it around the drum in the transmission, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this is the transmission ready for the new band. The drum is fine. I went ahead and ran some emery around it, cleaned it up, and now I'm going to install the new band and adjust it and put the valve body back on it. Okay, I like to pre-soak the bands in fluid before I put them in, and I also want to let you know that this right here, this indentation goes towards the front of the transmission where you install the band. Okay, the replacement band has been installed, and I started by slipping this end in over here, and I just slipped it right around there, and it came out over here, and I've got it. Now I want to tell you, I did have to kind of smooth out this edge right here. This is the edge I'm installing first, and because it was just a little rough, and I just kind of smoothed it out, made it kind of rounded right there, and it went around nice and easy. So that's the way it is. It just slips in and out, right in and out of there. So it's in there now, and I'm going to go ahead and bolt it on down. Put the anchors in and adjust it. So I did start from slipping this end in over here and going around the drum to right here. Okay, now we've got the band anchors installed, as you can see. We're going to go ahead and adjust it. And you adjust it by using the adjuster right here on the side. Hang on. Okay, you adjust it by using that right there. That's on the side, driver's side of the trans. Now you can see why those indentions in the band I was talking about have to go towards the front, so they'll clear the case right here. Okay, we've got our band adjusted now. We're going to go ahead and do an air check on it. Make sure it's going to grab the drum for second gear. So basically on the 1-2 shift, this is what happens right here. You put air in this hole right here, and you apply the band, and lock the drum. And you want about this kind of travel right here on it, if I can show it to you. That's the 1-2 shift right there. Okay, so the way I adjust these bands is I run in my adjusting screws, snug the band down where it won't turn the drum, and I back it out about a turn. And then I do the air check I just performed, and I watch my travel on the lever right here. And I usually get about 1 inch travel on that. And another check you want to do is, I'll show you here. Okay, you want to turn your drive shaft counterclockwise, I think. Yeah, counterclockwise, and make sure that the drum is spinning against the drum, right like that, as you can see it. Just hold it up a little closer for you. Yeah, just make sure that drum is spinning against the band freely, and it seems to be holding, because that's what happens when it's not second gear. That drum's got to spin free against the band, just like that. Okay, I've got my nut locked down on my adjuster. I also like to put a little silicone around that locking nut on the adjuster because they have a tendency to leak. So I went ahead and did another air check on the band just to make sure it's grabbing good. And now we're ready to install the valve body in the pan, and we should be done. One other thing I want to tell you is I went ahead and put a new, if you can see it here, I put a new manual shaft seal on this thing, linkage seal. And because I was right there at it, and it's an older vehicle. And the way you do that is you just knock out the old seal right here from the case, right there. And then you get your new seal, and you use all you get is you make your tool, which is a nut, a bolt, and 2 washers, and you just slip it down through here, and you let me show you. Okay, and you put your new seal up in the case, and you just use the tool, and you tighten up the nut, hold the head of the bolt, and you use that to push the seal down in the case. Alright, we got the valve body back up in there, and we're bolting it down now. There's a couple things I want to tell you. When you put the valve bodies back on this model, you have to take loose, I call it the old neutral safety switch, which is 2 Torx head T25 bolts, because coming off, it'll come off okay, but this piece right here will come out too far. It's really hard to depress this thing while putting the valve body on. So the best thing to do is just pop the switch off. There's 2 bolts right there, take it off with. And then the other thing is the parking rod, which is up in there. You have to turn the drive shaft a little bit to get that parking rod up in there. It's really a 2-man job. Somebody turns the drive shaft while you're fishing up the parking rod, to get your valve body on there. So we've got that accomplished now. We're going back with the bolts right now. The bolts are actually the 7/16 head bolts, which are these right here. They're actually 7/16, but 11mm fits them. Okay, we'll show you a picture of the valve body bolts going in. They're on the outside perimeters of the valve body. On the back, right here around the governor solenoids, and then of course on the front right here. And we're getting ready to tighten those down and torque them. Alright, valve body bolts are all torqued down. Now we're going to install the linkage on the valve body shaft right here. And then we're going to tighten that up, and we're going to make sure, it goes in and out of park okay. Alright, linkage rod is back on there. I also moved it in and out of park a few times, and turned the drive shaft just to make sure we're lugging in park. All is well. We got the cable hooked back up. Now we're going to go ahead and put our neutral safety switch back on there and get that done. Okay, we got our neutral safety switch back on there with the 2 Torx headed bolts, 1 on each side. And we also made sure that the neutral safety switch is riding where it needs to be. If I can show you on the valve body. Right. Alright, right there. Alright, now we're going to plug in our connector for our solenoids on the valve body. It's always a good idea to put a little dielectric grease on these things, and I want to tell you, to release these things, on the sides you got to push in these tabs right here to get it to release. A little bit of pain in the butt to do that, but that's how it releases. Alright, we got that plugged up now. Next thing we're going to do is put our electronic TV or throttle valve control module on there. That sits right on top of the valve body on this model, and it's held in by 2 13mm bolts. You can see one of them is right here, and the other one is right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get that in place. Okay, you can see that's in place now, and it takes a little wiggling to get that thing on there. But what you can do is you can move this little rod right here, the TV rod, and you can move it inside the valve body to kind of get your rod in position to lug into the solenoid. Okay. This rod right here. That's the TV rod. Okay, so it looks like we have everything assembled externally. The valve body is on, it's torqued. The band air checks. The drive shaft is lugging into park and turning freely when it's supposed to. So now we're going to put the filter on it and put a new pan on it. I'm sorry, put a new filter on it and put a pan on it. Alright, we got our new filter installed. It takes the same Torx head bolts as the neutral safety switch assembly does, T25s. I also wanted to let you know that when you pull these valve bodies off, the torque converter is going to drain from right around here. So you're going to have to add more fluid than you normally would on a regular pan drop because your converter is draining out of your case right here. Which is a good thing because you get more of the old fluid out and more new fluid in. Alright, one final look around, make sure everything's good and everybody's happy here. Okay, so we got our band lugged in there nice. We checked it with air checking it. We got our valve body bolts all in. There's only 4 long ones back here, by the way, on the back where the governor assembly is. Those are the 4 longest ones. And then of course you have the 3 over here on this side. And then you have, I think, 3 on the back right here to remove the valve body. 2 long ones and a short one on the back. Went ahead and air checked the low reverse band too, which is this one right here. Made sure it was okay while I had the valve body off. Alright, let's get and put a pan on it, see what it does. Okay, we got our pan all cleaned up, ready to go back on. We gave the magnet the old shave there, cleaned it up nice. And I also want to note that this pan, these later models have a reusable gasket. So you don't have to mess with that. You can go right back with the gasket to come off. It's a nice, thick, reusable one there. Alright, the pan is on, the bolts are torqued. I went around them 2 or 3 times just to make sure. Same thing I do on the valve body, by the way. Go around them 2 or 3 times, let the metal relax, and make sure the torque is within specs. One last look around of everything we took loose here, just to make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. Everything's looking good here. Got the connectors looking good right there. Switch is back on, linkage is hooked up. Electronic throttle valve's on. Alright, we're ready to let it down, put some fluid in it, see what it does. Okay, now we're adding fluid. Okay, while I'm adding the fluid, I want to tell you I bought this band from this company here, and this is the part number. Basically, you can just Google A518 slip-in band or A518, 618 slip-in band, and you can find these things. Okay, we added about 10 quarts of fluid to get this thing full after the valve body drop. Now you want to check these in neutral, and you want to make sure it reads on both sides of the stick, which it's doing here. Okay, reads on both sides of the stick. If you check it in park, you'll get a false reading. You'll get a high reading. So you have to check them in neutral, at idle. Okay, now's the moment of truth. We're going to drive this thing to see what it does. Don't pay any attention to the tach because it doesn't work. All right, here we go. We're in first gear. Oh, there's second gear. Didn't have that before. That's a good thing. And third gear. And we get on up here, see if it's got overdrive. And there's overdrive. My first. There's a nice second gear. Okay, so it seems to be driving well. It's got a nice first, second, third, and fourth shift. It's a great day in the neighborhood. So now, when I'm done with this, I'm going to drive it around, double check the fluid, and I'm going to get lunch because I'm hungry. Worked up an appetite. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and have a great day.